There is a silent question that visits every human being, not in childhood, not in excitement, but in moments of exhaustion, when success feels empty, when relationships feel heavy, when the mind keeps asking, "Is this all my life is?" You may have everything, yet something inside feels incomplete. This unease is not weakness, it is intelligence awakening. Indian wisdom never calls this confusion a problem. It calls it the beginning of inquiry. In the Upanishads, this moment is sacred because it is here that the false identity starts trembling. You were taught many things about yourself: your name, your roles, your profession, your achievements, your failures. Slowly, these ideas wrapped around you like layers of clothing, so tightly that you forgot they are not you. When pain comes, it touches these layers. When fear comes, it shakes these layers, and you say, "I am suffering." But pause here. Who is this I? Is it the body that was once a child and is now aging? Is it the mind that changes moods every few hours? Is it the personality that behaves differently with different people? Vedanta asks this gently, not to disturb you, but to free you. If you observe carefully, you will notice something extraordinary. The body is changing. Thoughts are changing. Emotions are rising and falling. Yet something within you remains unchanged. It was present in childhood. It is present now. It will be present even when these thoughts disappear in sleep. That presence does not speak. It does not argue. It does not panic. It only witnesses. Indian sages call it the Sakshi, the seer. You are not the sadness. You are the one who knows sadness. You are not the fear. You are the one who notices fear. This simple shift is the first crack in lifelong ignorance. And here, the Upanishads introduce one of their most powerful statements. Not as philosophy, not as belief, but as recognition. Tat Tvam Asi. This is not a slogan. It is not motivation. It is a mirror. That means that, the ultimate reality that sustains existence. Tvam means you, not your name, not your story, but the witnessing presence. Asi means are, not will become, not should become, already are. But the mind resists this. How can I be that? I feel small. I feel broken. I feel limited. Vedanta does not deny this feeling. It questions its source. A wave feels small only because it forgets the ocean. Your suffering does not come from being limited. It comes from believing you are limited. This belief has consequences: fear of loss, fear of death, fear of meaninglessness, and modern life amplifies this fear. Speed without stillness, information without wisdom, connection without depth. That is why depression is rising. Not because life is harsher, but because identity is fragile. At Eternal Shiva Wisdom, this is where our journey always begins, not with solutions, but with seeing clearly. You don't need to become spiritual. You need to become honest. Honest enough to admit that what you were told you are cannot hold the weight of existence. So we pause here, not to conclude, not to declare, just to sit with this question. If you are not the body, not the mind, not the story, then who are you? Let this question stay alive. Truth does not reveal itself to a restless mind. It reveals itself when the seeker becomes still. When the mind becomes quiet, something subtle begins to reveal itself, not as an image, not as a thought, but as a presence that has always been there. You begin to notice that awareness itself never changes. Thoughts appear in it, disappear from it. Sensations rise, fade away. Even the sense of I comes and goes. Yet the one who knows all this remains untouched. This is not imagination, this is direct observation. The Upanishads do not ask you to believe anything blindly, they ask you to see. In deep sleep, there is no world, no body awareness, no personal story. And yet when you wake up, you say calmly, "I slept well." Who knew that absence? That knower was not the body. The body was resting. That knower was not the mind. The mind was silent. Still, something was present. This presence does not come and go. It does not start with birth. It does not end with death. It only appears to be limited because the mind claims ownership over it. Vedanta calls this mistake Adhyasa, false superimposition. You place the qualities of the body onto consciousness. You say, "I am weak. I am anxious. I am incomplete." In truth, weakness belongs to the body. Anxiety belongs to the mind. Consciousness only knows them. Now, listen carefully. When the Upanishads say Tat Tvam Asi, they are not saying your personality is divine. They are pointing to this silent knower. That, the reality behind the universe. You, the awareness behind experience. They are not two. This is why ancient teachers never tried to fix the world first. They corrected identity. Because once identity is clear, life rearranges itself naturally. Fear loses its grip. Comparison dissolves. The pressure to prove disappears. You still act. You still work. You still participate in life. But the inner struggle reduces. This is liberation in daily life, not escaping responsibilities, but carrying them lightly. Modern psychology now observes what Vedanta stated thousands of years ago. Suffering increases when identity is unstable. When you think you are only the mind, every thought becomes a threat. When you think you are only the body, every change feels like danger. But when you rest as awareness, life flows through you instead of crashing into you. At Eternal Shiva Wisdom, we remind seekers of one simple truth. You don't need to reach truth. You need to stop running away from it. The peace you seek is not ahead of you. It is beneath the noise. Still, one doubt remains. If this truth is so simple, why don't we live it? Because habits are old, conditioning is deep, and attention is scattered. Knowing truth intellectually is not realization. Realization happens when attention repeatedly returns to the witness, not forcefully, not aggressively, gently, again and again. This is not a one-time awakening. It is a steady remembering. And now we move closer to the heart of it, not as philosophy, but as lived clarity. As this remembering deepens, something important becomes clear. Truth is not an experience. Experiences come and go. Truth is that in which all experiences appear. Joy appears, sorrow appears, silence appears, noise appears, but you, the knower of all this, do not appear or disappear. This is where most seekers get confused. They wait for a special feeling, a permanent bliss, a dramatic transformation. But Vedanta is very precise. It says, what comes and goes cannot be you. Even peace comes and goes. Even stillness comes and goes. So what remains? That which knows peace and disturbance equally. This is why the sages warned, do not chase states, understand the stateless. When this is understood, life stops being a battlefield. Problems still arise. Situations still demand action. But suffering reduces because resistance drops. You no longer ask, why is this happening to me? Instead, there is a quiet clarity. This is happening, and I am aware of it. This shift is subtle, but its impact is profound. Depression weakens when identity loosens. Anxiety reduces when the future is seen as a thought, not a threat. Loneliness dissolves when you stop mistaking isolation for absence of self. Ancient Indian wisdom never ignored pain. It addressed pain by correcting perception. This is why the teaching of Tat Tvam Asi is not escapism. It is grounding. You don't float away from life. You become rooted within it, like the sky that allows storms without being disturbed. From this understanding, compassion naturally flows, not as morality, but as recognition. When you see others struggling, you don't judge quickly. You understand they are caught in identification just as you once were. This is true spirituality, not superiority, not preaching, but quiet maturity. At Eternal Shiva Wisdom, this is the reminder we return to again and again. Wisdom is not about becoming special. It is about becoming simple. Now, notice something carefully. If you are awareness itself, then nothing is truly missing. Desire may still arise, goals may still exist. But desperation fades. Life is lived from completeness, not lack. This does not mean you stop improving. It means improvement is no longer driven by fear. And this is where inner freedom begins to express outwardly. Relationships soften, work becomes clearer, rest becomes deeper. Not because life changed, because you did. Yet one final layer remains. A layer the Upanishads approach with silence, not explanation, not description. And toward that silence, we now move. Now we come to what cannot be spoken fully. The Upanishads slow down here. Words become fewer, silence becomes deeper. Because the final truth is not an idea to be added, it is a misunderstanding to be removed. When the sages declared Tat Tvam Asi, they were not giving a new identity, they were removing a false one. You were never broken, you were never incomplete, you were never separate. Only the belief of separation created fear, and fear created suffering. See this clearly. You did not become awareness. You were never not awareness. Just as space inside a pot does not need to merge with outer space when the pot breaks, it was always the same space. In the same way, when the ego loosens, nothing new happens. Only a burden falls. This is why realization often feels ordinary. Breathing continues, life continues, responsibilities remain. But the inner weight is gone. You act, but without inner noise. You speak, but without compulsion. You live, but without the constant question of worth. This is liberation as taught in Advaita Vedanta, not a supernatural event, not an escape from the world, but freedom within the world. When this understanding stabilizes, even pain is seen differently. Pain is felt, but not personalized. Failure happens, but not internalized. Death is acknowledged, but not feared. Because you no longer confuse the changing with the eternal. This is the maturity Sanatan Dharma points toward, not belief, but clarity, not hope, but understanding. At Eternal Shiva Wisdom, this is the quiet invitation we offer. Do not try to become something else. Do not fight yourself. Simply observe deeply what you already are. Sit with this sentence, not as a slogan, but as an inquiry. Tat Tvam Asi. Let it echo without forcing meaning. Let life respond in its own time. Truth does not rush. It waits. And when the mind becomes still enough, it recognizes itself as the silence it was seeking. Remain with this recognition. Not excited, not disappointed, just present, just aware, just whole.